Hi, this is Eddie Hearn, and you're watching Lights Out.
This is FAISAL Khan for Lights Out, and with me via Zoom, I'm delighted to be joined by Louise Orton. Louise, good evening. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you for asking. First of all, thank you for taking your time out to speak to us today. Full professional debut is on the 24th of July.
Yeah.
Is it on a Dennis Hobson show?
Yeah, it's on a Fight Zone show.
The Fight Zone show, excellent. Fight Zone, a platform that is growing massively and it's done very well over the last few weeks. Just talk to us about the preparation for your debut. How's everything been going?
Well, I've been preparing for my debut for about a year and a half, but obviously because of COVID, it keeps getting pushed back. It kept getting postponed, but I was meant to be boxing in March, but obviously COVID again, it got postponed. But it looks like this one on the 24th of July is happening. So it has been a bit difficult, really, because where I've been in camp kind of for so long, preparing for the debut that keeps getting dropped. I've kind of peaked, then I've had to taper off, then I've peaked, then I've had to taper off. But no, everything's going really well for this camp. I'm really excited.
As you mentioned, obviously the debut has been brewing up for over a year now, but because of obviously the pandemic, small hall shows and fighting with with crowds in attendance as well, it's obviously something that we've not really seen, but we are slowly sort of getting back to normality now. Fingers crossed it stays that way.
Hopefully.
Just describe to me what it's been like for you, just like, going through this whole process of where your debut's been getting postponed. How have you managed to stay calm and keep yourself motivated throughout this last year?
Oh, it's been so frustrating. So many disappointments, because you see the shows that have been going ahead, things like Matcha and BT Sport and stuff like that. And it's been so kind of demoralizing and disheartening that we haven't been able to box and that I haven't been able to get out. But I've kind of kept myself motivated by just staying focused on the end goal. And what's important is about boxing, and whether it takes a month, 6 months or 8 months, at the end of the day, the goal's still the same. And I'm still continuing to train no matter how long I've got to wait.
I've asked many fighters, obviously in your position, the same question I want to ask to you is, have you considered perhaps maybe walking away from the sport with how it's been due to the pandemic?
Do you know what I said at the beginning of this year, because I'd been let down so much in terms of not being able to box, and I said to my boyfriend that if I don't box by the end of the year, I don't know how I'm going to carry on, because I just couldn't see like an end to it. It's kind of gone on for so long now that I got to the point where I just thought, if it goes on any longer, I'm going to be too old to start my professional career, because I'm 30 now already. And although I've got a lot of amateur background, I'm still starting in my professional career quite late in the line. So my concern obviously was that if I don't get to box this year, and I'm not boxing until next year, I'm going to be 31. And in my opinion, obviously, to get to a decent level in professional boxing, you need to be boxing for a good 3 years. And if I don't start till I'm 31, I'm going to be 34 by the time I'm like at any kind of reasonable position to box like for titles and stuff like that. So yeah, in answer to your question, I did think about walking away at some point, but I've kind of then talked myself out of it and realised that that's not actually what I want to do. It's just the situation that's causing me to feel like that.
Well, listen, it's good to see that you've kept yourself in the sport, and obviously all that hard work will pay off come 24th of July on Fight Zone TV, as I mentioned, which is a new management company and a new broadcast, which is doing extremely well. And obviously, as you mentioned, you being 30 years old, but one thing we've seen with the evolution of women's boxing is most fighters in the women's side of the sport, they're getting pushed really quickly. Shannon Cornet, I believe within a 7th fight, has become a world champion, and there's great British fighters such as Savannah Marshall and Katie Taylor. The question I want to ask you is which one has inspired you the most? Because we've really got some great fighters from the UK right now in terms of women's boxing.
In terms of who's inspired me the most, really, it's hard to say, because I think everyone's immediate kind of answer is Katie Taylor, because she's the one who's kind of led the way for female boxing and for female sport. she's the one who kind of everyone knows in professional female boxing. But in all honesty, I think out of everyone, I think Chantel Cameron has had it the hardest. And I think she's demonstrated that no matter how good you are in boxing, you've got to prove that you're good enough to kind of be at the top. And she's had it the hard way, because in my opinion, some people have, what would you say? Some people have been accelerated to get to the position that they're at, whereas Chantel hasn't had that. And I think her grit and determination to carry on and to keep pushing forwards, because everyone knows that she wants that fight with Katie Taylor. And at the minute, she's not getting it. And I think the fact that she's carrying on and she's boxing everyone who's put in front of her, I'd definitely say that yeah, she's inspiring me to carry on at the moment and to kind of show that if you work hard, you can get to where you want to be.
100%. And listen, as I said, women's boxing it's brilliant these days. You know, it's on a massive rise, and obviously we've got, you know, as you mentioned, Chantel Cameron and Katie Taylor closing shows. I mean, women's boxing brilliant. It's really fun to watch as well, and it's inspiring for women like yourself coming up into the sport.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're going to keep busy this year, but what is the plan for the first 18 months in your professional career? Have you got your sights set on perhaps any titles you might look to pick up? Is there a specific amount of number that you might want to fight from now to the end of the year? What exactly have you got your sights set on?
Put it this way, I'd box Terri Harper for my debut if I could. I'm going for Terri Harper. She's the world champion at my weight. I know I can beat her, and I reckon I'd beat her even if it was my debut. So yeah, definitely set on taking the title from Terri Harper. That's my goal.
What makes you so confident that you could beat Terri Harper? Because I think you're the first fighter that's not had their debut that's called out a world champion already.
I just think I look at kind of the professional boxers that are out there, and they've not even scratched the surface, because there's so many kind of good level amateur boxers that haven't even turned over yet, that are better than a lot of the pros that are already out there. And I think people that don't know boxing, they've only got what they see on TV to kind of gauge a level of knowledge of what professional female boxers are out there. But where I have got that experience in boxing, and I know who's out there, I know that I'm at a decent level in comparison to some of the others out there. And I know that I've got the ability from my amateur background and from how I train at the moment, that I've definitely got the ability to beat her.
Well, listen, it's good to see that you've got a lot of confidence about you, especially at the real beginning stages of your career. So it's going to be interesting to see your path and your journey. But like I said, you know, you've had Shannon Courtenay fight for a world title within her seventh fight. And as women's boxing is going on, it might be, I don't know, your fifth or your sixth fight. We could see a fight between yourself and Chantel Cameron. So listen, exciting times. I just want to get your thoughts on the whole FuryJoshua collapse. You know, I've been speaking to a lot of people about it. It's nice to get people's opinions about it. We were so, you know, psyched for a big mega undisputed clash between the two best heavyweights in the world representing Britain. And now it looks like Joshua will take on Usyk, and Fury's got a third fight with Deontay Wilder to get through. But what was your take on the whole collapse of that fight?
It's kind of, I don't really know how to explain it, but it was kind of like a last minute sort of blunder, really, wasn't it? It happened last minute. I mean, the fight was agreed, and then all of a sudden they've got like the mandatories that have come along that have now caused the fight not to happen. So I mean, the back of my mind, I think, did they want to fight in the first place? Was it kind of done for a media kind of outlet, and this is the way of getting out of it, or what? But I think the fight will happen, and I think it needs to happen. But yeah, I definitely think that maybe there's something going on behind the scenes that has prevented it from taking place. Because I mean, 1 minute it was agreed, and then the next minute all of this has kind of gone wrong. So
boxing politics, as I like to call it. What's your
definitely
prediction?
Yeah, a lot of politics in boxing.
What would be your prediction for when that fight does happen, given that they both come through the next fight, i.e. Joshua Usyk and Fury Wilder 3? If Fury and Joshua does happen this year, what would you predict?
It's difficult to say, really, because I like both boxers. Both boxers have got kind of their strengths and their weaknesses. I would like to see Joshua win it, but I think potentially Fury might be too quick for him. I think Joshua can be quite rigid sometimes and quite stiff. And I think Fury is the opposite of that. He's quite relaxed. He's quite laid back. And I think if I'm honest, Fury probably moves a little bit better. So I think there is a possibility that Fury might take that. Yeah.
Listen, exciting times, and anything can happen in boxing,
Definitely.
especially in the heavyweight division. Louise, anything you'd like to add before we bring the interview to an end?
24th of July, I'm coming for you. Watch out.
Well, listen, we'll look forward to keeping an eye out for the 24th of July. Good luck and best of luck. We hope all goes well, and we look forward to speaking to you sometime in the near future. And thank you once again for your time today.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Louise Orton, thank you very much for talking to Lights Out.
Cheers.
Thank you.